order that you like. But we're going to do a little exercise called retrospective prospective. So, retrospectively, what are you proud to have shared this season with Chautauqua audiences? What in particular has fueled your fire this season? And then prospectively, what are you looking forward to next year? And perhaps even in this off season as some of these projects prepare to join us here at Chautauqua next summer.
I can't just pick one. I really can't. I was connecting with a friend this morning who's from Buffalo, an actress from Buffalo, Razra, and saying how thrilling it was to have just finished, to have 3 commissioned writers on the ground at the same time, to have just finished Best for Baby, to have Zora Howard in residence, and to be presenting The World Premiere at C.A. Johnson's The Witnesses. So that's something that I'm really thrilled that was able to happen the way that it was happened. But I mean, the one acts were absolutely thrilling this year. Execution of Justice and being able to share my mentor with the next generation is something that I'll keep with me forever. Truly, it was a really special summer, and I love James Bond.
Of course, it's impossible to pick one thing, but Best for Baby was something that I have been waiting with bated breath for since we had our closed door reading last summer. So I'm so glad that we got to share it with all of you. If you didn't get to see it last weekend, then I'm so sorry for you. And for those of you who saw it, I think you understand why it's such a special project. So I think that was really special given the timing of having CA and Zora and Sharon, and then some additional folks that came in for this little industry weekend, which is something that was an inaugural event that Lily was instrumental in bringing to us. So, exposing what we're doing here and our commitment to new work, not just to you all and why it's so important, but reflecting out to the industry that it's something that we're really deeply committed to here. That was really exciting.
Yes, you're not technically CTC, so you don't need to answer.
But you were such a wonderful supporter this season and every season that you're here. Please share.
Yes, normally I will get a text message or an email from Jen, and she will say, Kwame, would you like to come and see the play or the workshop or the reading? And I'll say yes. And most recently I said yes, and I would like 8 tickets. And then I thought about it and I said, maybe that's kind of like wearing my welcome out, and I was raised better than that. But before I could, apologize, she said, sure, we will accommodate you. And I feel like every time I see a play here, I send Jade a text message and giving her my feedback, my thoughts, my insight on it. And I think that's really a testament to the theater that's here. It inspires you to want to talk about it, to want to think more about it. This most recent play, The Witnesses, is world-changing for me to be able to see a play. Well, I don't want to spoil what it's about, but to see a play that is what I like to call matter-of-fact Black. And that is often people forget that, people think Black people sit around at the dinner table talking about racism. We don't. We talk about the same thing everybody else talks about, how good or bad the food is, and how did you get your homework done? And why didn't you say I love you to me today? Or just the regular, everyday going-ons and happenings of our lives. And of course, there's a little trauma twist here, but I think it's a brilliant place, and I'm just glad that Jen gives me tickets for the place.
And we have folded you into our world, Kwame, and you've been so kind to join us in the creative space.
On my birthday.
On your birthday. Happy birthday, Kwame.
No, I was literally on a boat like 10 minutes ago. But I told Jay, anytime you ask, the answer is always yes. So that's Kwame.
And Jade, why was it so important to you to have Kwame with us today?
Well, speaking of commissions, we are commissioning our first musical of Kwame Alexander's brilliant Newbery Award-winning, Emmy Award-winning book, The Crossover, won an Emmy for the TV show that Kwame produced based on the book. We have an amazing team. Candace Jones is writing the book for the musical. Christopher Jackson is doing the music. They're doing the lyrics together. Kwame's working on it with us. I'll be directing. We have Tommy Kale in as a creative consultant. We had a meeting of minds to make sure the team was the team, kind of a creative vibe check in January before we went to contracts. And this summer, we were able to, Candace was here for 2 weeks, Chris was here for a week, and then came back. We were able to just sit in a studio and outline and play fragments of songs and have Kwame kind of come in and respond. And I'm just looking forward to continuing to do that work on this brilliant piece of art that if you read it, which I'm sure you can get it at the bookstore, it just reads like a musical. It just looks off the page. So I'm thrilled to be working on that, and we'll probably have a workshop for you to hear some in 2027, but we'll be back together next year in residence. And who knows, maybe there'll be a song to share.
What a dream team on that project. Can you share a little bit about what that experience was like for you being in the room on creating an original musical?
So, yeah, I mean, I was just talking to Phil Lerman here, and he was sharing how he just read The Crossover, the book, which was rejected 23 times by publishers, and nobody wanted to publish it. And I remember when I wrote Phil was sharing how he cried when he read the book, and when I wrote the book, I wrote it in a Panera Bread. And so every day I'd take my kid to school, and then I'd go to Panera and write. And this was over the course of like 3 or 4 years. And when I finally got to the ending, I dreamt the ending. The characters came to me, and I sat in Panera Bread crying as I wrote the ending. And people were coming up to me like, is something wrong with the mac and cheese? And my friend Ellen is here. She's from Northern Virginia as well. I wrote it in a Panera Bread on Eldon Street in Herndon, Virginia. And so this is where this book began in 2008. And to see it have this life of being published eventually and winning the Newbery Medal and then becoming a TV show. And it's really interesting how the musical came to be. It's sort of 3 parts to it. The first part was Steve Nash, who's a basketball player, Hall of Famer. He and his producing partner optioned The Crossover in 2018 for a musical. And it was Stephen Curry was going to be a producer. It was going to be this big Broadway thing. And they had an option for 12 months. Well, during that 12 months, Disney wanted to make a TV show. And Disney, when they option a TV show for a property, they own everything. Plays, merchandising, all of it. But the theater, the musical had already been optioned, so it got carved out. So Disney couldn't get that. And so we made the TV show, and Steve Nash, his producing partners, decided not to do it, and their option ran out. And fast forward, so I own the musical rights, and so fast forward to like 2024, and Deborah and Jade say they want to commission The Crossover. And normally you gotta go through all these hoops and agents, and I just said yes. Because of this sort of the way this happened. And I guess the last layer was simultaneously, there was a teacher in Maryland who said she wanted me to videotape a message for her students who had read The Crossover, and just to tell them thank you. And I was like, I'm too busy for that. I don't have time for that. but I felt compelled to do it. So I sent a 30-second video. Thank y'all for reading my book. I appreciate you. Maybe one of these days I'll get to meet you. And the kids saw it, and she texted me and said, thank you so much, that meant a lot. By the way, I would love to introduce you to my brother someday. I'm like, cool. Turns out her brother was the producer and director of a play called Hamilton. and so he calls me. He's like, Kwame, it's Tommy Kail. And like we've known each other for years, and we're having this conversation, and we're talking. He's like, we should get together and talk. And he's like, I love the crossover. I cried. And I'm like, cool. And so we talk, and I go to New York one day, and we're gonna meet, and then he gets busy, and he can't meet, and then I get busy, and I'm heading back on the Amtrak back to DC. And he says, I'm sorry we didn't get to meet, Kwame, I gotta go to DC. I'm like, I'm heading to DC. He's like, cool. He's like, are you flying? I'm like, no, I'm not flying, I'm taking the Amtrak. He's like, oh, I'm taking the Amtrak. He's like, what train are you on? I'm on the 10:30. He's like, oh, I'm on the 10:30. So Tommy and I meet in the cafe car for an hour or 2 hours on the way to DC. And he says, I want to work with you on whatever you're doing. And I say, I want you to work with me. And now Tommy is a consultant on this show. And so, what is it like? It just feels right. All the pieces in the puzzle just fit together from 2008 to 2025. So you're talking about a 17-year process, and it just feels like this is where it's supposed to be, and this is how it was supposed to happen, and it's a blessing.
Thank you for sharing that. I feel like all good business gets done in the cafe car of an Amtrak, personally. And I'm glad you shared how so many amazing artists in Hamilton became involved in this project. And just to say, Candace Jones, who's writing the book, is such a brilliant choice as a playwright, to be involved in this project. She has a stunning play called Flex, which premiered at the Humana Festival of New Plays, a basketball play, and if you love to read plays and you want to learn more about Candace, I would really recommend finding that and giving that a read. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So you had said we might start to hear some of this in summer of 2027. And what does the time between now and 2027 look like for a musical, and how is that different from, for example, a play commissioning timeline? And is there anything that you're still learning about what it means to be producing this commission?
Well, I wrote the 15, 16, 17 page contracts for all of these artists, so I can sort of speak to timeline. So any of the writers here next summer, but in the interim, they'll need support from musicians and actors and singers to figure out the trajectory that we're trying to get to. So for 2027, we'll probably be, and the score is due. So that's the spring right before summer 2027. And then, as you know, we have workshops, and then our trajectory is to get to that world premiere. And I think our world premiere, the earliest date that we would be looking at is 29, excuse me, 29. Yeah, because things just take twice as long, so.
That makes sense. And speaking of writers, we've mentioned, how wonderful it's been to have Zora Howard with us in residency in the first year of her commission, her CCC commission. So she's here getting to know the community, spending time, being a freewheeling artist here. Can you speak a little bit about how you chose to commission Zora? What excites you about her voice, and maybe what we can look forward to hearing next year?
Yeah, I think Zora is a brilliant writer, and I really liked reading her work and kind of getting to know her as an artist in New York a couple of years ago, and time has become so fluid. And then last year, so she was on my list of artists to commission, I think, when I was, pitching my whole dream forward when I was applying for Chautauqua. She was on like the list in my pitch deck. So I was very much excited about her. And then was it last season? Season before last? Recently, since I've taken this job, I directed a production of her brilliant Pulitzer Prize finalist winning play, Stew, in LA. Actually, Roswell, who I was talking about earlier, was in that production. Once I got inside the play, I just realized just how brilliant this woman was. And so that was right around when we were choosing commissions, and was in a conversation with her, took her out for coffee, asked her if she was interested, if she had anything she wanted to write or to work on. We talked about that. We applied for the New York State Council of the Arts, which is what CA and Sharon also got, and decided that we were committed, kind of stretched it a little bit because funds are what they are, but that we were committed to commissioning her whether or not we got the grant. We did not get the grant, we are still commissioning her. And this is her first year in residency. Next year she'll have a new play workshop, and hopefully the following year, if all goes well, this is in the same rhythm of The Witnesses, so we'll hopefully produce it.
And you offered playwrights across the country just incredible support through the commissioning program here. But we're gearing up to offer a new kind of support to emerging playwrights. Can you talk a little bit about how next year might look different and how we might be bringing some new playwriting voices into the fold here?
Yes. So I'm sure everybody in this audience knows that we are in a time of really looking at finances. Kind of everybody's budget is declining, and how do we figure for that? And CTC, Emily and I, are in a particular situation because we have this wonderful new building that's fully funded, that's ready to open next summer. And of course that is I'm talking about the boring stuff first, but we'll get to the playwrights. And that of course means extra people that we have to, just for front of house, so just a couple extra staff, just having that extra, having a building that we so desperately need. So one of the things that I've been working with is the Drama League. I don't know if you guys know who the Drama League is, but it's a great foundation in New York City that supports directors through their whole careers. So we partnered with the Drama League, and the Drama League now funds 3 directing fellows. So that's what you saw, the 1X, Vaughn sitting right here. Vaughn already got to assist Oliver Butler, Emily Mann, he directed The Pinter. It's a really wonderful program. They get a week in the city, and then after that, they go and they get to actually direct, associate direct a production with TheaterWorks. So next year, TheaterWorks is no longer going to be partnering. So it's just going to be Chautauqua. So Drama League and I were like, well, what do we do? How do we give these directors a more fulsome directing experience? Because that is part of what this Drama League promises. And as we were also looking at how do we excite it in a mission-forward way, open the Roe Green Theater Center? Well, why don't we start having playwriting fellows? So that next year, the directing, I'm so excited about this, the Drama League directing fellows will apply with a playwriting fellow and a play. All of the plays that they apply with, the parameters that I'm working on the application with the Drama League right now, will be for plays for 2 to 5 people with casts of 35 or under. So they'll be designed as the NPWs used to be designed. The new play workshops used to all be designed by the design fellows. These will be designed by the design fellows. We'll have playwriting fellows, the director fellows will direct it, and the conservatory will be in it, and we'll be able to offer a couple of these next summer in the Black Box as a full play with like 4 performances, a full weekend, a couple of days of tech. And the Drama League is coming in with support for somebody else to oversee, to help me oversee and really mentor the playwright directors in this. So I'm really excited. It's totally in line with Chautauqua's mission. It's building on what we've been doing. It feels like it's opening the new building in the old tradition and building upon that. And we get 3 new plays, or 2. We're still figuring out budget, but at least 2 new plays in that space next year. So.
I just have to say, I love being in partnership with Jade because she has such problem-solving skills, which is, I think, what I bring to the table, but she problem solves on the artistic side. And this really was a budgetary and an artistic side, because when we're looking at what are the things that really cost a ton of money, obviously it's people, and it's having our union artists as well. It's more than having our conservatory. So to utilize the talents of our incredible conservatory that you all are so committed to supporting, and really putting them and the design fellows at the forefront in the Black Box, celebrating the students in an experimental space like a Black Box. It is so mission aligned, and it also is smart financially and artistically. So I just gotta give her props for that wonderful brainstorm.
One of the Jane Cox, do you guys remember Jane Cox? She started the fellowship program. She runs Princeton now, Princeton's theater. But when I was talking to her, we were talking about new plays and going to music stands for the new play workshops, and what, that takes some of the opportunities away from the design fellows. And so I've been thinking of ways to give them those opportunities back, and this actually gets us back to what we were offering them before.
So hopefully this gives you a little bit of taster of some of what's to come next year. And I'm sure you all have questions for these amazing folks up here, whether it's about this past season or about all of the art that's incubating here right now. I'm going to turn my microphone over so we can speak to some of what's on your mind in these last 20 minutes or so.
One of my all-time favorite Chautauqua events was the New Play Workshop. I think it was last summer with the 4 faculty wives. And I was going to look up the title, but I wasn't going to pull out my phone. Anyways, and then being able to talk to the playwright afterwards, and we will see a later version that I imagine will be different. I love that experience. Will that be part of what you do with the commissioned plays through, and also with the crossover in 2027?
Yes, every new play will continue to have a conversation around it and talk backs. So we will continue to do our new play workshops. They'll be at music stands next summer, so none of those will be staged. The staged readings will be in the Black Box. And we'll continue to have talkbacks after all 3 of those new play workshops. And in addition, we'll have talkbacks after the play reading fellow and drama league fellow workshops in the Black Box. So yeah, it's such an important part. Noah Heidel, I don't know if you guys remember Birthday Candles, but I can ruin it for you now. The daughter passes in that. That didn't happen until a conversation with the Chautauqua audience. Which to me is really that's where I lose. I go, oh, in that play is when she steps off stage, or however she exits this realm, and that was from a conversation with you. So we will definitely continue to have these conversations.
I have a question about the financial stability of the theater. The interim director's financial report seemed to indicate the theater was currently a losing proposition for the Chautauqua institution overall. What are we doing to bring in people from outside to attend the theater? And that would increase the audience and the income from that. But what other things are you planning to do to make it more profitable, or at least break even?
Yes, thank you. Well, expectations for theaters, and I have also studied those reports. Most theaters, actually, the ticket revenue only bring in, even if you look at like the 990s from Lincoln Center, the Public, the Met, their ticket revenues are actually about where ours are, which is 20%. And if you look at something like Lincoln Center, they also get revenue back, we're looking at a 70-30 philanthropy grants and 30 revenue. They are also getting money from their bar, they're getting money from the parking garage under the theater, so if you look at it, we're actually on par with what we're bringing in with other leading nonprofits in the state, and because we're in New York, in the country. That doesn't mean that we still don't need to do work to do better, because we all do. So in my time, one of the things we're doing that helps with financial sustainability and resiliency is actually commissioning artists. When any of these plays get done in the future, we get residual checks. Tiny Father got done within a year. We get a check back for that because we were the original, we invested up front in it, so to speak. Light in the Dark went to New York. We got audience members coming that had never been to Chautauqua before that are now aware of Chautauqua. We've been mentioned in American Theater Magazine, which we hadn't before. We've been mentioned twice in the New York Times. We're getting picked up by Playbill, by Broadway World, just by having people like Tommy Kail and Christopher Jackson. We're getting that more national press. We had an article in the Playbill about the crossover and the song isn't even complete. I mean, and that is bringing in money. This week alone, I raised about $30,000 Tuesday morning in one conversation from somebody who's never been on the grounds for the crossover, because everything for the musical has to come from outside sources. None of that is coming from inside the gates philanthropy. So we have two people that are splitting that. Neither one of those people, we got $50,000 for a workshop this fall, because musicals are expensive. Neither one of those people have ever been to Chautauqua grounds. They're both coming next summer. So we've got, this summer we had a bunch of industry people coming, which was great. Thank you, Lily. We're now possibly looking at new ways to partner with Cleveland Playhouse. All of these are money saving, and also the more national press and the more national footprint we get, the more people will come. So this summer we had about 10, 12 people that had never been on the grounds come to see the plays. And all of that feeds and grows. It's not necessarily quick, but if you look at where most arts organizations are, we are actually moving quick for right now. It's kind of, I can talk more. Did that answer?
So my favorite moment of the summer, not the answer, was it was a Sunday afternoon early in the season, and it was a beautiful day, and you were doing a reading of Pranayama, and I didn't hurry up there because I figured it's a beautiful day, nobody's going to go to a reading on a Sunday afternoon, and I got there and the place was packed. I couldn't get my seat down. So it told me, and from outside, from our point of view, it seems like the Chautauqua community, and more importantly, the community outside the gates, is really taking to this thrilling idea of I get to see reading, and then it comes back as a play, and then it goes to New York, and I was there at the beginning, and I got to give feedback. So from our side, from the house side, it seems like Chautauqua and the environment and the community around is really taking to the new play concept. From your side, does it feel that way as well? And is that one of the things that when you're talking about how we're going to bring in money, is that
yeah, the question was about outside the gates, so that's how I answered. But if you look at Power BI, which is the little app that tells you every time a ticket is purchased, it's the app I'm addicted to. The sales that have gone up in the past 3 years, it has all 3 years. You can look at 23, 24, 25 by show for the revenue and ticket sales. It's the new play workshops. It's the readings that are going up. It was like a 200% increase in the one acts and like a 42% increase in each single NPW had more people purchase tickets every year, and this year was the best. So that, to me, lets me know just by the numbers that people are excited, and that's where we're growing. Actually, our audience is within the play workshops. Thank you for the question.
I wanted some clarification on the Playwriters Fellows that you're going to start. So are they going to apply having already a fully developed play written that has already been workshopped so that it will be ready for a full, a full staging when they come in? And will they have already gone through that workshop process before they're accepted into the fellowship?
Not necessarily. What we're offering them is a workshop. We're offering them a 2-week workshop with dramaturgical support, a director, and a cast to investigate their script. So one of the parameter isn't that it has to have been workshopped, but also it could have been workshopped. It can have been produced before.
Hello, I was at the reading of Baby. Fantastic. I was really excited by the dynamic energy of all the participants, especially the lead. But I'm wondering, is that going to be a play you're offering next year?
Funny you should ask. That's the exciting bit. I'm sure Lily was planning on telling everybody at the end, a little cherry on top. But we're very excited. I just I was able to let Sharon know we wanted to do it after the reading, after our sold out reading on Sunday. Yeah, it was really wonderful. And then Sharon, Oliver, and I are talking tomorrow to start thinking about who we want to possibly partner with. I think this is a great play to move. I think most plays are great plays to move. So that would be great. And I talked to our agent yesterday, so we have the official agent. Let's do it. So that'll be our world premiere for 2026.
Hi, I'm wondering if you're gonna need more conservatory if you're doing NPWs as well as main stage simultaneously.
I am still figuring out the rubrics. I mean, we have to cut a significant amount of money and open a new building. So I don't know. I think we will at least have 9. I'd love to have 11. I also don't know the size of the plays yet, which will kind of happen at the same time. Drama League and I are figuring out how to do this so we know what the plays are by the time I get to callbacks with conservatory. So between 8 and 11.
So a shout out to Kwame for saying that he didn't have time to respond to the kids' request, but then he found the time. And what struck me was that you had sort of this unknown consequence, which was this positive relationship that developed. But sometimes when you reach out to the kids, you don't know that you've really touched their lives because you don't get the direct feedback. So that leads me to the question, can you update me on what the theater group's current plans are with the local Chautauqua County schools? I know in the past you've done some great work, and just update me where you stand right now.
We're still doing YPP. They expanded YPP. I think we were able to serve like 600, 700 kids this summer in addition to all of the counties that we serve in the off season. So that program starts in January. I think that's when we start reading the plays, and then we go out into the schools the whole spring, and it's the best way to kick off the season. But it was really great that they were able to work in season as well this summer. Yeah, I mean, that is how to grow an audience. I have to give it, something that we do that is, I have to give it up to Jim Davis, who's our artistic assistant, but also teaches music and directs the local high school and community plays in the off season. And there was one season we did Kate Hamill, and she was doing Kate Hamill in the schools, and it was really lovely to be connected Stephanie Dawson used to work here, your students are her kids. So I feel personally connected to the Chautauqua Lake community through Jim. But YPP is our official.
With looming possible budget cuts, you might not know this yet, but what's your best guess? How many main stage productions will you be doing next summer? And with those main stage productions, are any of them likely to be classics? I love the new plays, don't get me wrong, but are any of them likely to be, maybe not war horses, but at least things that are familiar to the community at large, beyond the gates? They would say, oh, they're doing that.
Thank you so much for the question. We will be doing 2 main stages instead of 3 on Bratton stage. One of them will be Best for Baby, and I can tell you, I won't tell you the titles, but I can tell you I have one play from 1985, one play from 1987, one play from 1955, and then a classic text that was reworked about 10 years ago, but like classic Greek. That's what's on that's my short list on the board right now for the second. So it's a little all over the place, but they're all technically antiques.
Okay, thank you all so much for being with us today and for your always illuminating questions. We are so excited for next season. We are so excited to do the world premiere, Best for Baby, to be able to bring you the voice of Laura Howard, who's has been recognized by the Pulitzer, who's been recognized by the Susan Smith Blackburn Prize, which is the oldest and largest playwriting prize for women, and as well as bring these playwriting fellows to you in this new shape, in a new building. There is so very much to look forward to, and it feels like there is expansion and growth, even if there is literal budgetary contraction. So we cannot wait to share all that with you. We thank you, and we thank the Friends of Chautauqua Theater for just being so incredible throughout the season, supporting all of our visiting artists and our fellows, and showing up, because that is the #1 thing that you can do to support the theater, is to come and to bring your friends and to spread the word. And speaking of that, we do run The Witnesses, our world premiere commission, through Saturday at 2 p.m. That's the final performance. So if you haven't seen it yet, please do join us. We're having a special talk back happening tomorrow after the performance with the full cast, with C.A. Johnson, the playwright, and then C.A. will be out on the porch afterwards signing another play, because I'm sure once we see The Witnesses, you're going to want to read everything that C.A. has written. So please join us for the special added event tomorrow after the matinee performance, and then you only have 3 more chances to see it.
5.
I'm sorry, I was already fast forwarding tomorrow.
Oh, and if anybody wants to go to London and see some plays, I'm bringing some Chautaukans to London November 10th through the 15th, and it should be great fun. So.
Thank you all for a wonderful season, and we'll see you next time.